This episode of the Drywall Podcast is dedicated to the memory of Cameron Brown. We lost Cameron just over a year ago in October, and our hearts go out to his family and all those Cam touched. In honor of his memory, I would like to take a moment of silence before we begin the show. Cam was a friend to all, and this industry is better because of him. Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome to a motivational episode of the Drywall Podcast. I am your host, once again, Nick Harmon. With us today, I'm not sure how I did it, but I managed to wrangle Robbie Worrell, the actual head of Tape-Tech, on the show for his first appearance. Robbie has an extensive resume, and we waste no time digging into the marrow. We travel through time to Robbie's college years and sports involvements, and how his ability to connect with people led to an opportunity with a little company called Bosch Tools. We talk about the history of Tape-Tech and how his relationship with AMES president Mike Ventura was a match made in heaven.
It's funny, Nick, because when Mike left, we were friends outside of business. Okay, so Mike and I used to take golf trips and stuff like that, together. So when Mike left, about 5 or 6 years into his departure, we just started talking about business and what was going on, and the way businesses were changing, and Bosch was changing, and different things were going on. And so Mike and I, like I said, about 6 years into his tenure, we said, dude, hey, love to come over anytime you have let's talk. Let's just see if there's an interest, if there's a fit. So we literally had those conversations for 5 or 6 years. It's time, when he gets the opportunity, we're going to talk about it, and that opportunity came up 3 years ago.
We discuss the acquisition of AMES by GMS in 2021 and how that changed the landscape of AMES and Tape-Tech. We discuss the origin of the skimming blade, but we also talk about his interest in motivational speaking, and he was an announcer. Also, how he uses those skills within his community. This episode is an absolute monster, and I know you're gonna like it. Huge shout out to our sponsor for the month of October on the Drywall Podcast, Mud Skip. Today's episode and all of the episodes in October are brought to you by Mud Skip, and I want to just give a huge shout out to these guys for not only sponsoring the show, but they've also been huge proponents of Fresco Harmony and the Drywall Podcast. They're supporters of my friends in the industry, and if they did nothing more than that, it would be enough. I'm also doubly excited because this is a product I've been using personally for quite some time, and I'm enjoying the benefits. Basically, it's like a powder that you can add to an existing batch of joint compound, and it transforms it into a more plaster form, which enables you to achieve wet on wet coats. You don't even need to sand after. I use it with Fresco Harmony, and it works amazing. I've also heard tons of feedback from countless industry leaders on social media who use MudSkip all the time and are super happy with it. You can also catch my episode with the owner, Sheila Cross, on episode 120, and listen all about the history of MudSkip there. It's a pretty good show, and it answers a lot of questions. Find out more at www.mudskip.com, or look for them at your local retailer. They are just about everywhere. But for now, we've got Robbie Worrell, head of Tape-Tech, on the 148th episode of the Drywall Podcast. Let's get into it.
Nick Harmon,
Robbie Worrell.
What's up, brother?
Nothing. How's it going?
It's crazy, 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 man. Crazy day, every day, every week.
Every day. You stay busy. You like to stay busy.
I do like to stay busy, but it's great to get away and also have a couple of days off every now and then. So,
How often would you say you get like a little break where you could take some time?
well, it just depends. I've been on the road now 14 of 17 weeks. So, the wife and I did get a little way because I also call or announce high school football games on radios and PA.
Shut
So we
up.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So we were down in Wilmington, North Carolina last week, and the wife and I with another couple, we said, let's get a house for the weekend. So we just stayed in Wilmington at the beach for a couple of days and just made it, turned the computer off, didn't turn it back on, went and had donuts and saw the beach and went to eat and all kinds of stuff. So it was a great weekend to get away.
Good. Wilmington. That's close to, I assume you're in Atlanta.
No, I'm
Uh,
actually in North Carolina.
you're
So
in NC.
yeah, I'm east of Raleigh, about 60 miles in a little town called Middlesex. The wife and
Middlesex.
I 5 years ago decided we wanted to get out of the hustle and bustle. We were in Clayton, which is just east of Raleigh, and we bought 15 acres out in the country. So now we've got our own little 15 acres that we just kind of play around in. And I'm actually having a pond dug. We have two small ponds. I'm having a join together right now to get a bigger pond so I can come out of the state, stock it with fish so the grandkids, when they come, can have a place to come and hang out with Pop Pop and Meemaw.
Awesome. You guys are called Pop Pop and Mima.
Well, we don't know yet because there's no grandkids. I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay. All right, we're digging in. I would love to announce. I think it would be so much fun, and I would be like really funny and offbeat. Though I don't think that they could take the type of announcing that I would want to do because it would
Well,
be it would
it
be
depends.
out there.
You would be the color part of the play-by-play, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely be the color man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just had a shot that made it onto Sports Center's number one highlight reel. A
Okay.
dude
Top 10. Yeah.
ripped it. It was number one. He ripped it from beyond half line, which never happened. So
Wow.
he kicked a goal from like the arc,
Yeah.
like probably a 70-yard shot, like
That's
just
crazy.
insane. The keeper was out, like that
Let's
sort of
get over
thing.
the head.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so Robbie does take breaks occasionally. Robbie Worrell with Tape-Tech from Middlesex, Carolina, 15
Yep.
acres, building a larger pond, stocking. It's big enough that you're stocking it with fish. That's cool.
Yep.
What else do you do on the property?
Well, we cut it a lot. We're about to actually start fencing in some pastures. My
Okay.
wife wants to have some animals. She wants to have
Yeah,
some goats and some donkeys.
beautiful.
And she used to barrel race growing up, so she's even looking at some horses. So, uh,
Nice.
she just wants to have this as a little retreat whenever when we retire. We're looking at the 28 acres next to us, the 16 acres on that side of us, and there's 52
Okay.
behind us.
Wow.
So eventually, if I can get all of that, I'll have a nice little compound.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. I grew up on a horse farm, so I'm
Okay.
familiar with horses, but we had straight Egyptian and Arabian. Now, the barrel racing horses, that's a different type of horse, correct?
It's a must fast horse. It's in the rodeo,
Okay.
and the whole object is to see how tight you can turn around the barrels and not touch the barrel or knock the barrel over. And she did that all growing up. And this is actually the land we bought is actually the land that she used to board her horse on when she was growing up, and the horse is actually buried at the front of the property. So, but
Okay.
so we were able to get that property because it was sentimental to her, because this is where Leo, her horse, would be and hang out and
Oh,
graze and
cool.
everything else. So we bought that same property, so it was neat.
Really cool. Let's
Yeah.
dig in a little bit. Drywall. You're in the drywall world. How did you let's go all the way back, man. Are you first generation like drywaller? Were you a drywaller back in the day?
I was not a drywaller at all.
All right.
I was a power tool guy with Bosch Power Tools for 27 years.
Okay.
So the construction was in my world was built that way. You know, you learn to install, you learn to build, and different things. And you know, with Bosch, we obviously had screw guns. So I was more of a hanger than a finisher.
Okay.
And so, you know, I would definitely hang it and then have someone else come in and finish it because I didn't know how to do that before I started, you
So
know. And
you did do hanging though.
yeah,
Okay, so you hung drywall, which is cool because we don't get a lot of hangers on the show. How did that segue into working with Bosch?
well, it actually started by working with Bosch. So,
Okay.
you know, growing up, you know, Nick, I was an athlete all through college. And, you know, my first job out of college was in retail. And then from there in 1990, I was actually just kind of chilling out for a year. And I got a phone call from a buddy of mine who was in Atlanta at the time, who worked for Bosch and was asked to come interview for a position with Bosch. And that was in February of 1990.
Okay.
Interviewed and got the job, and then learned all about, you know, power tools and construction and building and going to classes and different things of that nature. And so part of that was, you know, drywall. It was general construction. It was, you know, hanging of drywall. It was, you know, foundation work, you know, building walls. All of these things were all part of the classes and the teachings that Bosch taught me in the industry.
Okay. All right. So
So
you were groomed for retail early,
uh,
right out of college. What were you doing? Were you a college athlete?
I was a Division II college athlete in Oklahoma. Played both football and baseball in college.
Oh, wow.
So
That's pretty
yes,
good. You were
yeah,
athletic.
it was a great experience, and I was the only two sport athlete in the school at the time. You know, small, like I say, small Division II school in Southwest Oklahoma. And you know, it was a great experience. You know, I grew up in Florida, but I went 1,000 miles away to go to college.
Crazy. Did you get your degree out of college?
I did. Yes, I did.
You did. What?
I have a business marketing degree with
Okay.
a minor in finance and economics.
Excellent. Good for you.
Yep.
That two sport thing in college, that's I played one sport in college and it destroyed me just because it's so bit college is busy anyways, but it's so busy when you play a sport. So to be able to play two sports is pretty impressive. Your resume is looking good already, Robbie.
It's, you know, at 60 years old, you build a lot of stuff behind it.
Well, and then starting out with Bosch so early, that's pretty cool. Do you, now that you're a little older, we'll skip forward a little bit. Are you still a huge fan of Bosch, or is it like more DeWalt now, or how's that? Has it changed at all?
You know, for me, dude, they paid the bills for 27 years. I stay as
Yeah,
loyal as I possibly can,
good for
you
you.
know. So you know, and I still have friends who work with them, you know. So there's a
Sure.
lot of different things that are there, and I still love, you know, the Bosch product. You know, DeWalt makes great product, Milwaukee makes great product, and that's the
Yeah.
way we used to sell it. Is everybody has great product, and that's kind of where we are in our current industry as well. Is that you have great product? It's about how does it fit your need that you're doing, and how, you know, from ergonomics to steel bearings versus plastic bearings, all kinds of stuff. It's just a matter of, hey, it's a good tool. You know, there are price point products, and then there are high level professional products. It's just a matter of
Yeah.
what you like. But I am a Bosch guy. I have been. I will be
Okay.
for a long time. You know, and
You've got a set of Bosch on the farm that you go to. That's your
you go
go-to
right over
tool.
to the barn. There's a 100-foot barn right across the street, right there. It's
Okay.
absolutely there's Bosch stuff in there.
Okay. Now, what is your official title with Tape Tech so I don't screw it up?
I am the head of Tape Tech.
Head of Tape Tech.
Operations, sales, logistics, every piece of what you see today in Tape Tech, I run.
Okay.
You know, with you interviewed Carolina before. She is my sales manager, and Mark Wilson is our director of education and training. So we all work in conjunction. But when it comes to the product themselves, the sales, the logistics, the customers, whatever, all that falls under my umbrella. So every piece of it.
Okay. And then Tape Tech is a division of AMES.
The Ames Tools Corporation. Yep. Not to be
Right.
confused with the shovels and rakes, which we get that all the time. You
Couple.
know, but it's the the shovels and rakes guys are great, but this is Ames Tools Corporation, which we have our footprint of stores, 94 stores across the country under the Ames label, Drywall Supplies, and then we have our e-commerce groups, and then we have the Tape Tech piece. So those three companies are all under the Ames Tools Corporation.
All right, let's back up a little bit. Because you didn't develop Tape Tech. Tape Tech was bought by Ames. It was people out of Seattle or something that broke away from Ames. We sort of learned some of the history on past episodes. Mark Wilson. Been different people that have shed the light on the history of the tools, which is always really cool.
Sure.
Tell me, I'd like to get your take on sort of where Tape Tech came from, just to have your viewpoint on it, and
Sure.
how they got affiliated with Ames.
Sure. So, Tape Tech was actually, was around in 1980. Okay. The name Tape Tech. Well, the Ames Tools Corporation, the brothers, Bob and Stan, in 1939, created the first device for taping called the corner shoe. Okay. That was in 1939. So that was kind of the first soiree into drywall finishing with some type of tool rather than by hand. In 1945, the first taper was invented by the Ames brothers, and it was actually powered by an automobile battery. So they used a car battery to finish drywall work on a taper.
I didn't
Okay.
know that. That's cool.
Yes, that was the very first one done, and then and then things have just progressed ever since then. So finishing boxes in 1947, different thing. That's the first patent that came through, and the introduction of that was in 1952. So it took 5 years from the patent being issued to the first finishing box being introduced.
Okay.
So it's not like it was a next day process. So
No.
and then for so long, and then as you know, the taper, which is kind of in the industry called the bazooka.
Yeah.
Okay, that product was first introduced in 1954 as a self-contained mechanical tool. Okay, and it remained unchanged for 50 years. It hasn't moved. It's been kind of the same way. You've got your wheel, your blades, your compound, your tube, whatever. But what happened was that all those items were patented back in that day. And in 1977, the patents began to expire. Okay.
Right.
So numerous new companies started popping up in the ATF market. And when I say ATF, I mean automatic taping and finishing. Okay. So in the ATF market, and including Tape Tech, it was just a pop-up venture. There were 5 or 6 companies that popped up. And
Right.
then what happened was the Ames Tools Corporation, the brother, Bob and Stan, they bought them all up and shut them all down, except for Tape Tech. They
Okay.
kept Tape Tech in 1982. And so after that, that's just when Tape Tech was thrown into the Ames Tools Corporation piece to be part of that group. So the same tools that were made initially in the 50s from Bob and Stan are the same tools you have today. And the tools that you rent at the Ames stores are essentially Tape Tech products. There's just
Sure.
dumbed down versions.
Okay.
I
Why did they choose Tape Tech over those other companies that they bought?
I because I mean what we've established is that was kind of a legacy name and a more thoughtful name for the industry.
Okay.
Because there were all types of crazy names for companies. I don't know what they were, but
Yeah.
but that the Tape Tech one brought the most legacy and the most brand loyalty, if you will, at that point in time.
Okay. They knew they were going to they knew that there was no stopping these other companies from emerging in the tool the ATF space. So they knew that they were going to have to compete in that market.
Absolutely.
Okay. And they created Tape Tech, which gets a lot of praise on the Drywall podcast. I'm always asking people, what tools do you run?
Sure.
Tape Tech comes up a lot. People like their Tape Tech. They're pretty loyal. So then Robbie gets plucked out of the weeds to come. No, it was probably after that acquisition in '82. Considering you went to college in 1990.
No, 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 no. I went to college in
No.
1982. So
82. Okay, so
yeah,
around the time that you, sorry, you look so young, so
yeah. Well,
attractive.
thanks,
I
Nick. I
got
appreciate it.
mistaken.
Like I said, I just
Um,
turned 60, brother. So I'm on the front backside now.
nice. I am turning 50 this year, so
Uh,
I'm not far
Congrats.
behind. I'm not far behind.
Congrats.
That's great. You look fantastic for 60, still
Thank
doing
you.
it. 82.
Yep.
You graduated high school.
Graduated high school in 1982. I did. Yes. In
Okay. And
Tampa, Florida. So again, I was in Tampa with my parents. My dad was a military guy. I spent 35 years in the military, and then went to work for the VA and the post office. So he was a federal employee for his life, And so in 1982, I left and went to Oklahoma and went to school.
post AMES takes over Tape Tech. Tape Tech's going to be the flagship product
Yep.
of AMES. You're not in charge of Tape Tech at that time. Is it still sort of under the umbrella of AMES, or is there like a division leader like there is now? Is there a head of Tape Tech at that point in time?
Yes, our current AMES tool president, Mike Ventura. So in 82s, it was still in the AMES piece, so it was still there. And the original, it's 2025 now, so there are other little parts and pieces, but
Yeah,
15, 18, let's see, almost 19 years ago, Mike Ventura, who is our current president of the AMES Tools Corporation,
yeah.
was in my role. He and I actually worked together at Bosch. We worked
Oh,
together for,
cool.
for 12 years at Bosch. We literally worked together. Funny part is he worked for me for a while at Bosch, and then
Yeah.
I worked for him at Bosch and with him at Bosch.
What's the
He
saying?
left.
Careful whose ass you kiss.
Yeah,
Uh,
because
something
it
like
may come
that.
back around exactly. So yeah, back in that day, like around 2010 or so, 2009, 2010, Mike left Bosch and went over to Tape Tech to be the head of Tape Tech for there.
Okay, all right.
Um,
When you start exploring the characters and the performers that are playing in this industry, it's a very small
yes.
market. Everybody kind of knows each other,
Yep.
and it's not as big as you'd think. You know, not a sufficient history book or anything like that. So,
Yeah. And,
uh,
and one thing that's really interesting, Nick, is that in 1977, like I said, when the patents expired and all the pop-ups started,
yeah.
most of those people who started those companies worked for the Ames brothers.
Right, right. There was
They rolled
I
out
mean,
and did
a
their own thing.
heavy influence from Ames,
Absolutely.
or they're stealing,
Yeah.
you
The
know.
only influence is what it
Yeah,
was,
yeah,
So,
yeah. It that
didn't
was
really come from.
substantial. I mean, what Bob and Stan did for this industry is pretty substantial, considering like those
Yep.
tools are being used today. They're getting better all the time. And they are the steadfast tools that people use when they go to ATF tools.
Yeah. And
Um,
Tate Tech has long been, the leader in the category. We hold more patents than any other, ATF tool company. All of these things, we continue to do the same thing. Continue to lead at the forefront. And just because we listen to what's going on in the marketplace. We look, and that's clearly evident because what we'll get to hopefully as we continue to talk is that Tape Tech is no longer just about drywall. We have other verticals now that we're
right.
branching out into. So,
Yep.
but from the drywall standpoint, we have always been the leader in the category, and people, kind of we want to set the standard for people to try to reach for.
We'll get there. I like the Mike Ventura, Robbie Worrell combo at Bosch. That's interesting to me. Those
Okay.
Bosch guys were probably sad to lose you two, considering how well you've done. You must have been doing good at Bosch. Was this something that you both like collaborated on while you were at Bosch? You were like, hey, let's go over to. There's this really neat tool company called AMES. Let's go play around with those guys.
Yeah.
How did that
Yeah.
how
Well,
did that come to be?
it's funny, Nick, because when Mike left, we were friends outside of business. Okay, so
Okay,
Mike and I
sure.
used to take golf trips and stuff like that, together. So when Mike left, about 5 or 6 years into his departure, um, we just started talking about business and what was going on, and the way businesses were changing, and Bosch was changing, and different things were going on, and so Mike and I, like I said, about 6 years into his tenure, he said, "Dude, hey, love to come over anytime you have let's talk. Let's just see if there's an interest, if there's a fit." So we literally had those conversations for 5 or 6 years. Hey, when
Yeah.
it's time, when he gets the opportunity, we're going to talk about it, and that opportunity came up 3 years ago.
Okay.
When Mike was promoted from my current role, the head of Tape-Tech, to his current role as the president of AMES Tools Corporation.
Right.
He was promoted in November, and he called me in December.
You
Um,
weren't you weren't still at Bosch, were you, 3 years
I
ago?
was I was actually at that point in time at Max USA,
Okay.
which is another power tool company, but they made tools for steel and rebar, but they also made a high pressure fastening system for drywall track. Okay, fastening metal track to concrete, metal to metal, wood to concrete, a high
Yeah.
pressure 500 psi system for that. So that's also where my drywall, increase of knowledge came from.
Okay.
What do you have to have for stick rates? How far are the beams spread across when you're doing your forms and different things of that. So that also enhanced my knowledge by working with companies called Manganero and Anning Johnson and some of these big players, PCI, across the
Yeah.
country. So when Mike had this conversation, Mike and I had this conversation, like I said, about 3 years ago. He called me in December. We talked for a couple hours on the phone. And then we said, you know what, let's get together again at World of Concrete in January of 2023. And so we did. We got together in January and we talked again for another hour. At that point in time, I had one other interview, and then I was offered the job and started on February 14th.
There was a shift 3 years ago then at Ames. Maybe the old president went out, Mike came into play, Robbie came over. There was a
Yep.
lot happening
Yep.
3 years ago. What was going on? Do
Well,
people just aging out?
well, some of it, but like with anything, at certain times people could get stale, and it could be, to where things just weren't working like they wanted to be or whatever, and someone was looking for something else. But when it come about, the hard part of it was that the Ames Tools Corporation was owned 4 or 5 times by PE companies to
Okay.
private equity. Okay,
Right.
so in this interim, of that happening, was that in 2021, GMS, Gypsum Management Supply, purchased the Ames Tools Corporation from Axia Acquisition, which was a private equity.
Okay.
And that's where all the really good changes started happening. Because with any PE firm, they want to run something as close to the vest as
Hmm.
possible, look as profitable. The bottom line is
Bottom
here,
line.
and
Yeah.
and then you get bought by a huge $5.5 billion conglomerate, and now it changes. The culture changes, the atmosphere changes, the support changes. All of
Well,
these
and
things
GMS
happen.
is predominantly drywall. So with that insertion, maybe they were looking at it more from a how can we enhance this company
Yes,
to make it better? Maybe introduce some new things
yes.
to
GMS is
peak
huge.
interest
They were
because
huge in what they call complementary products.
because the whole industry is stale, if you want to get honest. It's a very boring space. It's getting better, but it's not sexy, I like to say. There's nothing.
You're
It's
you're
kind of
right.
boring.
Yeah,
So
it,
I
it,
see
it
though, I
is.
see Ames and Tape Tech as innovators in that arena as well, where you guys are looking at more diversifying and not only making the existing tools better, but also diversifying to,
Correct.
you know, to create
Correct.
maybe more opportunity for people in the space, etc.
That's exactly right, Nick. And with that, GMS was held of like one of their big things was complementary products. They sell a ton of board, a ton of bead, a ton of
Okay.
compound. That's
Okay.
not what we do. It's not what we sell. We
Right.
sell the things that finish what they're already selling. So it's complementary to their business. And it was
Right.
real easy to send out a truckload of board and a truckload of bead and compound. Oh, by the way, throw a $10,000 tape tech
Yeah.
set on there. Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say
that,
I was gonna say a free box, but sure, a whole set.
yeah, throw the whole set on there, brother.
If somebody's ordering a truckload, get them a set of tools. Oh, and send Mark Wilson
Mark
out there too
Ventura,
to show him
exactly.
how to use it. Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So that's in 2021. That's when that happened.
Okay. All right.
It's been a great run since 2021 with GMS, because we haven't had to keep looking over our shoulder, to see if Big Brother's watching from the PE. They've
Right.
essentially said, we bought you guys to be profitable. We bought you guys to enhance our product offering. And that's what we've been able to do for the past 3 years. We've been profitable for years, but we just maintain that level of profitability and new growth and new targets and new customers, and existing customers, for
Sure.
GMS. It's been pretty cool. We've had the full support, to include, enlarging our space. We just enlarged our space in Swanee to the tune of another 40,000 square feet. That we're going to have it as, so we do manufacture our products right there in Swanee, Georgia.
Cool.
So we have manufacturing there, we have shipping there, we have sales and marketing there. And training is going to be there. Mark's going to get this nice big old new training room. So it's
Beautiful.
been really cool since GMS has bought it to have the funds to do what you want.
Right.
As
Right.
long as it makes sense, then GMS has not stood in our way whatsoever.
Did Ames have stores prior to the acquisition by GMS? Because I know
Yes.
GMS has a lot of stores. So did you guys
Yes.
just all throw in together? What if there's an Ames store in the same location as a GMS store?
So it's interesting. So yes, Ames has had stores for years. Okay.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, they've had them for way back since the 60s and 70s.
Because they
Okay.
were renting. They were
They were
renting a
renting.
tool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the only place you could find tools at that point in time. So they were renting that product, and you couldn't buy it there either. You just had, all you could do was rent it. So in 1982 is when the buying piece of it came in. So all the stores from 1960 to 82 were doing all the renting and the getting the tools out and getting them back. So, that came about. So there have been as many as 100 stores, 101, whatever. We're down to 94 now because in certain markets we changed the different envelopes. We may have had two in a market and we combined to one, whatever it is.
Okay.
So there's currently 94 stores. There are 275 plus GMS yards. Okay. So we call them different, the Ames stores and a GMS yard. And we call it
Smart.
GMS yard because they sell the board, the bead, the compound, everything else. And they're much larger than an Ames store.
Did some of the GMS yards pull in like a showroom for Ames and become like a store
Yes.
and a yard?
Yes. We have what's called an SIS, or a store in a store.
Yep.
I think there are six currently, four to
Cool.
six currently store in stores. I know there's one in Palm Desert. There's one down in Florida. There's a couple around. So we're looking at that model and that footprint
Yeah.
to see if
Yeah.
it works. Because what that would do is that would, because in the GMS yards, they also sell drywall tools. So the GMS yards are by far, one of our largest customers, if you will, internal customers. We
Yeah.
have taping tools there. But if there wasn't a focus on all of the sundries or all the drywall products, then we looked and said, hey, maybe we can help this by putting a store in a store here and do this. So, but the goal is to have Tape-Tech in every GMS yard, and we're well on the way as we
Yeah.
currently speak. Either via store and store or via independent displays and their own showroom, because
Right.
all the stores essentially have a showroom. Capital Materials, Commonwealth up in Virginia.
Some of
Uh,
them are kind of cheesy. You walk in and it's like a little, it's dirty. Like,
Correct.
there's coffee,
Yeah,
4-day
there's
old
ice over
coffee
there,
pot.
and there's popcorn.
You might
Exactly.
have one dusty Tape-Tech bazooka, and then you got like and then they rent some tools. I'm thinking of the Chaparral here specifically in Albuquerque. They've got a small showroom.
It's interesting you say that because I wish I'd have known you were in Albuquerque because I was there a month ago. We are starting a gigantic initiative in New Mexico. So there will be a complete showroom redo with Tape-Tech in Albuquerque, Santa Fe, and Rancherero or something
Yeah, yeah.
in that area. So
You nailed it. You nailed it. Rancherero.
Rancherero, whatever.
That's pretty much the name of every town here in New Mexico.
So, so
Santa
we're
Fe though is a good market because
awesome.
and then they have a Chaparral too. So I assume GMS bought out Chaparral. I'm not
Yes.
sure how big Chaparral was, but
Yeah, they're one of they're a great partner or a great piece of the GMS family, and we pick those guys in Albuquerque, and Santa Fe, and New Mexico, even up into Durango, Colorado, because there's a chaparral there. So it's part of
okay,
the what we're gonna do with our new thing because the chaparral in Albuquerque also rents tools. Okay, we're gonna be totally revamping that with wall vinyl that says rent tools here. If you walk into the chaparral in Albuquerque, there's a 3x15 wall on the left hand side. That's a soffit that's going to have a complete vinyl Tape-Tech header.
okay.
Tape-Tech with action shots. So we're going to do a total remerge of
Yeah.
that location. It's going to be fun. So
I
and then we're
know
going to come
some of the
back and
dudes. I know some of the dudes at that yard, but I talked to them about carrying fresco like a long time ago. Nobody knew me, like whatever. They sort of, it went up the flagpole a little bit, but then
yeah.
it sort of got squashed. And then so I see we also had a cow ply, which L&W bought out.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's a little story about how Fresco Harmony got into L&W, but I even knew the contractor on the L&W remodel. They took a small, shitty store and turned it into a beautiful red, white, and blue, easy
Yeah.
access,
Yeah.
huge showroom. The only problem is they only have one set of tools in their shop. And I talked with Sunil at Tape.
It's all awesome.
I talked with him about. It's
Yeah.
like they carry like one thing a level 5 in there, and then I talked with like the local dude about why don't you guys carry more tools? They don't want to carry more SKUs, so a lot of these yards will get like I don't know. It's so strange. It's so strange, but interesting story, and it's sort of a side note. But Sunil sent me a handle. He's like, we make the best handles. We make these really great handles, you know. And he's like, show the guy at L&W, these handles. And so I showed it to the dude at I don't know if I should even say or whatever. I'm sure it's not a big deal, but the inside salesperson at
Yep.
L&W
Yep.
showed him this handle, and they put it on the wall. And he called me like a week later. He's like, I got some guy who wants to buy that handle. It's like, why
Yep.
don't you guys carry more tools?
That's the beauty of it. That
Like
you
all he
can't
did was set
sell
it on the
what
rack.
you don't have. Exactly. You can't sell what you don't have. And we feel the same way. And
And they're like, oh,
L&W,
people only want to buy they like the level 5. They only want to buy that. And I'm like, are you sure?
yep.
You know,
Yep. Yeah, it's funny because that's the whole thing. I did the same thing. We have a lot of big customers. L&W is a big customer of ours as well. We have a lot of big customers,
sure.
but I literally, I literally will go in and put something together for one of our customers. I do something and we'll go do their contractor days or their shows or whatever it is, and you have something there that they don't even stock in the store.
Mm-hmm.
But I put it together and I make it so attractive, and it's our 12-inch and our 24-inch premium finishing knife, our skimming blade. I put
Okay.
it together as a set, put it at an attractive value. The customer makes plenty of margin. And every time I do an event, I sell 10 sets minimal. Every time. And they're like, well, how is he selling? Because I have it. If you
Yeah.
don't have it, you're not going to sell it.
Why the
you know.
skimming blades? Just out of curiosity.
Well, it's funny because, skimming blades, Nick, another interesting story. Ventura was over in Germany before COVID, pre-COVID, and we do a trade show over there. He was at a trade show and he's walking the show, doing the show, whatever, and he sees these guys using these skimming blades in Germany. And he's like, oh, he looks at it and watches them, talks to them about it a little bit and says, smart idea. He brought that technology, Tape-Tech did, to the United States pre-COVID.
Was that could that have been Naila? I don't want to say all the all the competitors or anything like that.
It
was not Naila. Okay,
it was Parfait.
Just a weird German brand, because I know that like the skimming blade sort of thrusted onto the scene fairly recently.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
In the timeline,
and they have post-COVID, but pre-COVID, the technology was here from Tape-Tech. We brought ours over.
Okay,
people absolutely loved them because it allowed them to cover bigger areas, in less passes, or do the level 5 finish on the wall, where level 5 finish is you compound the entire wall and you wipe the whole wall. Okay, you don't just do your joints, because you don't want to have what's called flashing when you paint. When you paint drywall, if you paint the joints and then the paper, you have flashing. That's why the reflection of the light is different. Okay, so the level 5 finish, you have compound on the whole wall, so it's a consistent substrate, if you will, that you're painting, so you don't get that flashing look. So when we brought those knives over here pre-COVID 2018, 2019, they were taking off tremendously. People were loving them. Okay, then COVID hit. Couldn't get out to see people. Couldn't do this. Couldn't do that. Couldn't demo. Couldn't do this. So it kind of died down. Well, now post-COVID, when we brought them back, other people jumped on the bandwagon, level 5, Columbia, whatever.
Yeah.
But we now, again, have brought that technology to the States, and now everybody's doing it because people recognize it's a good way to finish. It's a fast way to finish, and it's much better than a 10-inch taping knife. Okay. So you do all your joint application, you do all this other stuff, but the skimming blade gives the guy an opportunity, even in small remodels. Let's say you got to go fix a hole in the compound or the wall or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Your kid's been on the treadmill, fell off and busted his head on the wall, put a hole in the wall, right? You got to fix it. Put a patch in there, skim it out.
He fell off the treadmill and put a hole in the wall with his head. Most of the time, the thing is like somebody punched a hole in the wall. That's what people say. Correct. Somebody got mad and punched a hole. But in Robbie's house, the kid fell off the thing and put it with his head. Yeah.
You laugh, but it actually happened, my friend. My son had a couple friends over.
It wasn't funny at the time. It was not funny, because Robbie was like,
now.
Robbie's like, now I got to go down to the office. I got to bring back my skimming blade.
Exactly. Exactly. So now the skimming blades are taking off. You see so many influencers using those blades now.
Yeah.
By every manufacturer, obviously, but like I said, that's just another sign of the times of what Tape-Tech does. We brought the technology. We saw it in the other parts of the world. We brought it. Here comes other people to follow. So that's what we strive to do that with everything we do, is to be the leader and have people chase us.
I like it.
And if you've ever been in a team sport, you don't get points for finishing second, brother. You either win or you're the first loser. So that's kind of the way we're looking at this whole thing, approaching everything. Everything we try to do, we want to win.
Sport. Now my son plays, and he's very good. He's sort of following in the footsteps. Got a left foot. He's left-footed, which is awesome. But it's so competitive. He's 9 years old, and there are already like these weird tiers that did not.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, youth soccer wasn't even like on the radar back in the 80s, let alone early 90s and stuff. So it's just winning is a very big deal.
Yeah,
you can say, "Oh, it's all for fun" and all that stuff, and I'm constantly like telling him, like, "Dude, just go out there and have fun," But it's serious.
Nick, that is true. That's very true. And when I say winning is a big deal, I also give, I've also given some motivational speeches to some college athletic teams, and part of that whole thing is about success. And
Right.
success demands six things. And when I say success, I don't necessarily mean winning. I mean growing. And that's whole part of my whole motivational speech thing is we
Yeah.
walk through all the six things that success demands, and not one time did I say you win the game. As a matter of
Right.
fact, when I start my speeches, it's about guys. If I mention the guys or ladies or whatever, because I've done West Texas A&M softball team, stuff like that. So I'll,
Cool.
I'll I'll mention to them. I'll ask them, what does success mean to you? And they'll say winning. That's
Yeah.
not what it means. Success is a lot of different things. And I'll always reference back the University of Oklahoma won 3 or 4 national championships in softball over the last 6 years or whatever it is. After one of their pressers, they talked about success and joy, and yes, they got joy from playing together, but they got joy from some other things as well. They got joy from the Lord. They got joy from this,
Yeah.
and they didn't talk about winning it, but they play together. They get joy from each other, and so that's part of the way you do it. Is I don't talk about winning, but I talk about doing all the right things to be able to win.
Yeah.
So there's a
Well,
difference.
and two, I certainly don't downplay winning, man. Nobody likes to get your
Oh,
ass kicked all the time.
correct, correct, correct.
Like I'm playing on a team right now, over 40 team with like Insight Construction, and they suck ass, and I'm not playing for them next season.
Because they're so bad.
Yeah, like I get it. It's not about winning, but man, dude, we don't have to lose every game. Like it's just been we've gotten our asses kicked. So I'm switching teams back to like this other crew that I play with. But
Well, it's good you can still play. I can't play anymore, so
I
so I
know
play golf.
I'm counting my blessings. Like I don't know how long the knees will hold out, but I do take good care of my body, and it is good exercise. The aspect of losing and last place trophies comes up more so in this society or the way people are raising kids. And my ex-wife is 14 years younger than me. She raises our son much differently than I
Yep.
raise. I'm more of a Gen X school of
Yep.
thought where it's important to lose and it's important to be disappointed
Yep.
because that helps you grow
Yep.
as a human. And I love that analogy too, as it pertains to business. And
Right.
as we go into business and as we do business and things like that, we understand the importance of failure. Well, if you're going with a what's it called? PE, is that what you called it?
A
The
private equity, yeah,
the
private equity
private
fund.
okay, so a private equity firm, they're not going to like that as much. They're not going to like the
No,
aspect of growing. It's uncomfortable, and you can lose. Maybe that bottom line goes down a little bit before you have a big surge up. But I am
yeah.
interested in your motivational speaking. That is interesting to me. You do a little bit of more motivational speaking. People pay you to come and be like,
I
Robbie, come
I
get
actually do
these
it for
come get
free.
these guys fired up.
I do it for free.
Shut up.
Yeah, I
That's
do it because I
awesome.
want to do it. And I started a couple years ago when I was coaching because I just quit coaching high school football last year.
Okay,
And
cool.
so, I had some guys growing up that were good to me, and that I was able to piggyback off of and see how they did things. And so, like I said, I've got friends I haven't even met yet, Nick.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it all kind of started. I was actually, um, sitting at a hotel, and the West Texas A&M softball team was there at the hotel. They're getting ready to play a doubleheader or whatever. And I just asked if, hey, if number one, if they're Christians or if they're believers, whatever, because that's a big part of who I am. My faith is very
Okay.
important to me. Very
We can
important.
talk about it. We have
Yeah.
podcasts. We have several podcasts where we talk about religion. It comes up. I try to give people a platform where they can speak freely. Not everybody is, atheist. Not everybody is religious. I think if you're
Correct.
on the Drywall podcast and you want to talk about it, you can talk about it. I think it's important to your story. We're getting to know Robbie.
Yeah.
So how does that pertain? How does that religious aspect pertain to you giving these? And I have another question. What's the what's the affinity for softball? Go ahead.
Well, it's just sports in general. So
Okay.
how does the faith piece come about is when
Sure.
for me, when I was talking to the West Texas A&M, I actually noticed the bracelets. Okay.
Okay.
Some of the girls were wearing a bracelet that said, I am second.
Okay.
Okay. And many, many years ago, weird story, Nick, and people look at me, but when I went to college in 1982, I was a 17-year-old freshman from Tampa, Florida, in Lawton, Oklahoma, not knowing a soul, right?
Yeah.
My head football coach, when he was giving out numbers, he said, hey, here's number one. And I said, I can't take it. They said, why not? I said, because I'm not number one. I'm number two. I said, there's only one number one for me, and that's the Lord. And so I
Okay.
wore number two in college for my entire college career.
Okay.
And I used to use a little white tape, and I would tape a cross onto my football belt. Okay.
Okay.
So I'd always carry the cross with me. I have a big cross on my arm now, but it's
Yeah.
always been important to me growing up.
Sure.
So when I was with West Texas,
It was probably that military background. It was probably a part of that as well. Yeah.
well, part of it for me. For
Sure.
me, it was my parents weren't real religious. They weren't true devout Christians.
Oh, okay.
I used to actually walk to church myself over a mile every Sunday
Wow.
by
That's
myself as
fascinating.
a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old. Back in those days, you could. I don't know if you can anymore.
How did you
Walk
get
by
it?
yourself.
We're gonna steer off the path a little bit. How did you get like how did this like aspect of faith come to you or whatever?
It's when I look around, and as a youngster, I was a young boy.
Yeah.
I would catch myself hearing Billy Graham or whatever, all these different things back in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
day.
Okay.
And again, I asked my parents one day, I said, can we go to church? And they were like, well, we don't really go,
Yeah.
but, I guess we can. Well, they went and took me and ended up not liking the church. It was Temple Heights
Yeah.
Baptist Church in Tampa, Florida. I know exactly
Okay.
where it was. Okay.
Okay.
And so they didn't essentially like the church. So they stayed home. They went a couple of times for me. I really enjoyed the Sunday school class, probably for the wrong reasons, because in Sunday school, we would always have like skills. They would have verse finding skills. Okay, you close your Bible, first one to the verse, you get a point. And if you win at the end of the session, you get the most points, you get the candy jar. So it
Okay.
was just, so it took me into that piece of my life. And then, there was a time when I wavered in my elder years or whatever, but
Yeah, yeah.
always went back.
Okay.
And there's a ton of stories as to why. This is what I use
Sure.
in some of motivational speaking.
Yeah.
But with the West Texas girls, I simply saw a bracelet and I asked a parent. I said, "Hey, would you mind if I speak to the girls?" And they said, "Well, okay, you got to talk to the coach." Okay, great. So
Yeah.
the coach came
Yeah.
down. I talked to him for 5 or 10 minutes and told him what I wanted to talk about and who I was and where I came from and different things. He said, "Sure." So we got the girls together and we said,
Love it.
"Ladies, if you want to do this, we're going to meet over here in 15 minutes." Well, 11 of the girls came over and the coach, and they came over and we just started talking. We started
This is
talking
the
about
first
success.
time. This is the first time you've ever done a motivational
This was
speech.
this was the first time that I did it in that type
Specifically,
of setting.
outside of the realms of coaching yourself. This is the first time you're like,
Outside of my
okay.
coaching realms, this was my first time doing it for them. Yes,
You just got
absolutely.
inspired to talk to these girls.
I did. I did.
All
And,
right.
and it was led by me seeing a bracelet that says I am second, because I
Okay.
know I'm second as well.
So what'd you say?
So we talked about, again, we talked about success, but we talked about life and where they're headed. And they were put into that spot for a reason. Okay. You're going to fail. You're currently number 3 in the country playing softball. You've won 17 games in a row. Okay. But you're going to fail. There's going to be failures. And we talk about how you get up from those failures. Okay. Is going to define who you are, because softball does not define you. At this point in your life, you're making choices, and sometimes the choices that you make, the right choice may not be the popular choice. Okay, to go along with the crowd. You don't have to do that anymore. You're big enough. God has you. Okay, He's already
Hmm.
written your book. Your chapters are done. You're just following the chapters right now as you go. So we talked a little bit about that, and then I told him a story about the Czech national baseball team. Okay, because my son played collegiate baseball, all kinds of stuff. But our coaches that we went to an academy at were the Czech national team coaches. Okay.
Okay.
And when they started with the Czech national team, they took them from number 146 in the world to number 15 in the world. Okay. And if you don't know, if you've never been to the Czech Republic is one of the most atheistic countries in the world.
Okay.
Okay. And the group that we go with was called Purpose Driven Baseball. And every year we would take a group of sophomores and juniors, depending on where they are in their faith, and go play baseball against the Czechs, the Germans, the Swedish, the Poles, the Spanish. We take this group of kids to go play baseball, but be able to minister to them as we're there.
Okay.
So we got a guy on the Czech national team who was, nope, don't believe it, don't believe it, don't believe it, don't believe it, don't believe it. He goes out one night, has a few too many adult beverages, comes back to his flat and looks up and goes, man, I don't have my key. Starts climbing up the side of the building on the drain, whatever, and going up, and he grabs the stair rack, the metal railing at his loft, and pulls himself up. It gives way. He falls back down to the ground on the concrete steps that are now staggered, concrete steps, breaks those bones in over 60% of his body.
Eek.
He's laying there, and this is what he told us. This is from his own mouth. He says, as I laid there and I looked up, because the only place I could see was the sky, he said, Lord, if you're real, don't let me die. And the man did not die. He's playing baseball still today.
Crazy.
So that's kind of some of the things I go into with some of my speeches. I tell the story of you'll have success, but trust God. Let God take you to that success.
Why was it important to you on this particular occasion to go and inspire these girls? What had you do that? Like, did you want to just see them win? Was your daughter on the team? What?
No,
I mean,
Nick, I had no tie to these folks whatsoever. Dude, I had no.
You were inspired.
I was inspired to do it. Dude, I did it in Chick-fil-A. I did it in Chick-fil-A a couple months ago. I was sitting there I was at my table, and across from me, I saw two high school girls. And one of her shirts said, let me tell you about my Jesus. Okay, that was her shirt. I went up to the counter and I bought two $20 Chick-fil-A gift cards. And I walked over and I sat next to these two young ladies. I said, ladies, don't worry about it. I'm good. I said, but tell me about your Jesus. And she proceeded to me. She said, you want the long version or the short version? I said, well, you got about 60 seconds. So she told me all about her thing. And I handed her a Chick-fil-A gift card just because it's because I want the message to keep going.
Okay.
You know?
All right.
I looked at my other girl and I said, do you want to tell me about yours? She said, sure. Gave her a gift card. Cool. Nick, I just do it. It's just, like I said, it's who I am. I talk to people. You know, I want people to understand. I love doing trade shows.
Yeah. You know, I do too. I like talking to people.
You get the chat, you know, and another thing that I have is, you know, my grandparents were deaf growing up, you know, so
do you know how to sign?
I know sign language. Exactly. So
I know a little bit from high school.
Okay. Yeah. So school. So I know that. And so at trade shows, when I see deaf people, you know, I'll ask them, you know, do you want me to go help?
Oh, good.
And sometimes I'll go with them and translate, you know? So it's kind of, I have a giving spirit, I guess. But when it comes to where I'm at in business, I'm going to give you a little bit, but I'm going to take a whole lot more.
Yeah. You know? What do you mean by that?
Well, you know, because I think I'm going to take from you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to give you what I have, but I'm going to take from you what you're willing to give me, you know, and I'm going to take more and more from everything around me and everything else than I'll ever be able to give.
So it comes up with the podcast, you know, people are always like, oh, thank you for doing the podcast. And stop me if I'm wrong. This is sort of how I interpret what you're saying. I'm always like, man, I get so much like out of the podcast that like people don't realize, like, yes, I'm doing a service, kind of, you know. I mean, Tape-Tech and AMES were nice enough to sponsor several months of the podcast. It helps a little bit, you know. I'm not getting rich off of it or anything. But what I get is so much larger than any monetary value you could put
Yep.
on it. It's
Yep.
weird and it's hard to explain, but I gather that's sort of what you're talking about. Bob Marley used to say, you give your more to receive your less.
There's two words that you use in the work world: get and have.
Hmm.
Okay. I get to go to work.
Yeah,
I don't have to go to work.
right.
So if I have to go do something, then I'm not having fun doing it.
Hmm.
So I get to go to work as a pleasure, as a privilege, as an honor, or whatever it is, because I get to see people, I get to learn from people, I get to talk to people, I get to see how they do things. All the different things that will always. My dad told me a long time ago. He said, "Son, always be watching and always be learning." You know, and so always pick up on what little people do, what little things people do, but always be watching, always be learning, because you never know when you're going to need that skill. You never know when you're going to have to help somebody, or when you're going to get to help somebody, or when something's going to be presented to you that you have the answer that no one else does. So that's kind of the way I look at all the types of things. Is I'm always trying to take in what's going on around me, regardless of what it is. It may not even relate to me. It may relate to somebody else. I many years ago with Bosch, I was on a job site call at a huge facility in Minnesota, and I was with a Granger rep because I was working with Granger, and we were making a sales call. And after we got out of the call, I looked at him and I said, "Did you notice anything in there?" He said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "Yeah, we sold him a couple Bosch tools." I said, "No, did you notice that there were 26 light bulbs out in the ceiling?" "No, I didn't." I said, "There were 26 light bulbs out." "Do you have his light bulb business? It's an opportunity for you to go with his light bulb business. Can you get him here tomorrow? Can you call him and say, 'Hey, I noticed today you had 26 bulbs out. What are you using? What kind are they?' Blah, blah, blah." That's just
Right.
kind of the stuff that I'm always trying to do. I'm looking around me,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
see what's there. So you're exactly on point, Nick, with always want to
Smart
get back,
sales.
but always take in, take in, take in.
Yeah, Gary Vaynerchuk has a book called Jab, 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 Right Hook.
Okay.
Too. It's like he because he's always giving the information. But
Yep.
occasionally, like there'll be an ask at some point, there'll be like you know, where I gotta be like, hey Tabitha, do you want to sponsor the podcast?
Yep. That's
But
exactly
for the
right.
most part, yeah, it's an interesting book. He's a definitely a marketer. I've gotten to really enjoy marketing. Diving into this industry has been fascinating. Getting to keep meeting people. Like, yeah, I want to interview Mike Ventura. I think that'd be a great interview. That your relationship with Mike fascinates me a little bit.
Yeah.
We
It's
are
it's
getting
it's
to,
phenomenal.
yeah, it's cool. It's cool. And the history of AMES and Tape-Tech is really cool. And all of the companies. The stories are fascinating. Have you
Yep.
listened to other podcasts, maybe besides Mark Wilson and Carolina?
Yeah, I actually listened to Sunny Drywalls, and I listened to
Okay.
Sunil's.
Okay.
So I listened to both of those.
Okay.
Just to kind of get a feel for what this was going to be today,
Okay.
and where we'd go. But then again,
How did this meet your expectation? It's a little different though. I'm
yep,
malleable, so I will adjust the conversation
yep,
to the person.
yep. And that's what I found is that I can't prepare for this, dude. I
Uh-uh.
could not. It's like I couldn't sit here and write down bullet points and notes. I was like, you know what? Throw the pen down, call it done, and
No,
let's
I
just
don't.
let's just shoot the breeze.
No, I'm taking notes for the show for the intro and outro later, but that's the only
Sure.
reason that I take notes. But these are not there's no like there was no list.
Yeah.
Tabitha said that you worked with like tool companies.
Yep.
That
Yeah.
was and you and I met. I forgot to mention Robbie and I met at the CSR Black Friday event.
Yep.
Also, I just kind of started meeting you guys over there, at the AMES and the Tape Tech booth, and noticing your tools. and you gave me a trowel to use, which I promptly either gave away or left at the show because those shows get freaking busy, and I apologize for that because I was very excited about using that damn pool trowel.
Well,
You
we
were
got to
like,
get you another
"Oh,
more then.
yeah," you were like, "Oh, do you have a pool trowel?" And I was like, "No, I like
Yeah.
stainless, 14-inch pool trowels." You know what else I like by Tape Tech, which doesn't get mentioned a whole lot, and I wear whites because in the union they made fun of me, and I'm a big so in my college the coach was like very big on it was a conservative Christian college that I went to,
Okay.
founded by the Quakers, like no cussing like on the team, and
Okay.
I'm still a heathen, but I was a heathen back then. My coach got a kick out of me. He was Swiss, and then our assistant coach was Greek,
Okay.
but it was socks pulled up, and then back then jersey had to be tucked in.
Yep.
And my coach said something that has always stuck with me: that if you don't look good, you don't play good, and
Yep.
I love that. And
Yep.
we always looked good. We were one of the only teams that didn't cuss. We didn't cuss at the ref. We didn't cuss out loud. F this, f that when we were playing. I still
Yep.
talk like a trucker. It didn't help me in any regard that way, but so I remember showing up the first day as an apprentice, PCI, up in
Yep.
Portland, Oregon,
Okay.
and I was wearing jeans, and all the journeymen made fun of me. And from that day forth, man, I went out that day and I bought whites, and they're like dirty. They're dirty now, but I still wear whites. I cut them off, like whatever. But I love your Tape Tech. You have these awesome Tape Tech pants that I need to get a pair of because I will totally
Well,
rock those too,
what
or a
size do
couple
you wear?
pair.
What size do you wear? What's
I'm
your
like a
waist size?
34,
Okay.
34, 30. I like them a little shorter because here's what I do I don't like the way shorts are. You probably have Tape Tech shorts as well. I think I've seen them.
We used to. We don't have them anymore, but we're thinking
You
about
know,
bringing them back. So,
you know what? I don't like the way regular cargo shorts or any shorts fit for that
yeah.
matter. Like these are like but I cut them off. Like
Okay. Yeah.
I
Yep.
do the same. I do the same thing with my, so I'll buy them in the fall, wear them all winter, and then I cut them
Cut them
off.
off in the spring.
Cut them off in the spring, and then I have,
Yeah.
and then I have my shorts. So, anyways, that's neither here nor there. But I do. You guys have a cool line of pants, and not very many other companies have that. So, and we can get
Yep.
into now. We might go a little long, which is okay. We can get into your diversification with the tools and some of the
Okay.
products that and why you're going in that direction. But let's start out with the attire. How does that do with you guys, like
Yeah.
sales wise, and
Yeah.
why?
Okay. So, why is almost for what you just said. People wear whatever. They wear jeans, they wear this, wear that. And I like to refer to sometimes if you're not comfortable in your pant, they become like 60 grit, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Okay. They're a little rough on the inside of the legs, a little rough on the underside of the crotch, whatever.
yeah,
So when you look at what we did with our workwear, our pants, you can hold up a pair of pants, a nice pair of pants, but this is a mixed blend of pant with 13 different pockets on it. It has an
yeah.
expandable waist on it.
They look
Okay.
super cool.
So they are phenomenal. Now, the one thing we didn't do is we didn't make them in adjustable lengths. We made them in one length, a range per waist size. So 34 is going to be in that 32 to 33-inch length a little bit.
Yeah.
So you can roll them up, whatever. In your case, you'll cut them off, but then you'll have empty pockets that'll have stuff falling out of them.
Well,
So
I have a girlfriend now that's savvy with sewing, so I might
there you
have her
go. So she
hem
can cut
them.
it. There you go. So when we looked at our pants, you look at some requirements for OSHA and having
Right.
safety on the side. Well, our
Smart.
threads, our threaded material in there is approved as a high vis product.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So
Yeah.
you have that. Then you have, the white pant, you have the white shirts, you have the high vis yellow shirts, you have the high vis shirt with the black bottom and tape, the high vis OSHA tape.
Yeah.
So there's a
Yep.
full range. There are vests,
And
there are
vests, yeah.
soft feel jackets. We have socks, brother. We have socks, okay, that are just
Nice.
phenomenal. It's a great. It actually took us a while to figure out the sock
Did you
because
see the Drywall Nation socks at the event? Now, is that the same socks that you guys carry?
no,
Brian
no.
had like those Drywall Nation socks. I actually got a couple pairs because I thought they were sort of funny.
Yep.
They're really
Yeah, well,
comfortable.
they are, and ours are the same way. So I put ours
Okay.
on. I'll send you some socks as well, so you'll get some.
Okay.
So I know Sunil sent you a handle. I'm gonna send you pants and socks and stuff like that, so you'll be good. So
Well, I'll wear it. Yeah, I make
yeah, you'll look
videos and
good.
stuff. I'll make videos. Yeah, yeah. I'll be like,
Exactly.
these are,
So
I'm rocking my, it's just so cool because nobody else is making pants.
you're
I mean,
right.
you guys should be sending anybody that buys over $1,000 worth of tape deck should get a free pair of pants, like straight
Well,
up.
it's funny. We did that last fall. We gave away a workwear promo kit. They had two pairs of pants, two shirts, two different types of shirts, and that's what we sent when they made a Tape Tech purchase. And we got feedback going, "Oh, these things are awesome. These are great. And
Mhm.
everything else." So yes, it's very good material, very good product. It's comfortable. It's not like it's cotton. The shirts are the kind of the honeycomb mesh. Okay. So yeah, very, very comfortable, very work oriented from there.
Right.
We just launched gloves, an 18 gauge glove and a 21 gauge glove that have the highest possible cut ratings within that spectrum. The 21 gauge glove is an A5 rated glove. Well, I do have some, but the 21 gauge glove is an A5 rated glove, and you can see here,
Okay.
there, it's an
Yep.
A5, and it's got your stuff on the back, your
Everybody likes those. Everybody likes that style of glove. You got a couple of competitors in that space with those gloves, but
yep,
I wear the knit packing gloves, like the cheap one, really super
yep,
cheap ones. And I'll
yep,
buy from Uline. I buy like a whole bunch of them, and I'll
correct,
wear them and throw them out. I don't know why. I like the breathability. Those
yep.
seem now. How's the breathability in those?
So it's wonderful. I mean, I'm
Okay.
going here, like I said, and because it is a 21 gauge glove, it's very
Okay.
lightweight, very pliable, very flexible, and the fingers still work on the phone. Okay, so
Okay.
it's
Okay.
very, very good, from that standpoint. And like I said, the biggest feature is that it's got an A5 cut rating and a 21 gauge glove. PIP is a company that has a 21 gauge glove, but it has a zero cut rating. Okay,
What does
the
that
cut
mean? So
cut
if you're
rating,
razor knife.
yeah, if you happen to hit yourself or whatever, it's a protective layer. Okay. And the cut rating goes from A0 to A9.
Okay.
Okay. So, like I said, with a 21 gauge glove, you'll normally get a 2 or 3 in your cut rating at best. We found a way to do A5. So we have an
Okay.
A5 cut rating in there.
My
So
knit
once,
gloves, my knit gloves are a zero.
yeah, correct. Correct. And that's what they are because they're knit.
Yeah.
And so, and then what we did was we did an 18 gauge glove, okay,
Oh,
which is a thicker glove, which has an A9 rating, the highest possible cut rating you can have. And it's an 18 gauge glove. Most of the time, this is a 13 or a 15. And that feels like you're wearing a concrete brick. Okay. But even with
right.
this, I can still put this on and be very, very flexible and very, very pliable with my fingers and everything else.
Okay.
Even in
Mechanics will wear those gloves sometimes too.
Correct. Correct. So so
Yeah.
so so the workwear line from Tape Tech is a great opportunity. It's a great line. It's great product. It's great materials. And the biggest thing for us is getting it out there. And we've had it now for a couple years, and sales have steadily started to peak because we are getting more
Okay.
people to see it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so they're
Well,
growing
and
as
you
we
have
go.
very little competition in that space as
Yeah,
well.
that's
You got Dickies.
yeah.
You
Well,
know.
if you put our pants on and a pair of Dickies,
Well, I'm a
then
Dickies guy. The Dickies they'll get soft over time. Like I like them when they wear in, but we'll see.
yep,
I've always admired the Tape Tech pants from afar.
you'll see some, and you'll have your Dickies afar, and then you'll have your Tape Decks on you.
Well, Dickies hasn't sent me anything, so
Yeah.
whatever. Very cool. And then so you guys are going through this. I don't know. It was a while back. It was the Venetian plaster. It was the all of a sudden the tile posts started coming in. Brick.
Yep.
You've got so from the drywall space. You guys had a big meeting and you're like, we need to get into other spaces. The best route to do that is going to be through the hand tools.
Correct.
How did that come to be?
Well, I'll tell you what that came to be from Mike Ventura's brain. Okay.
Okay.
So, and for years, and when you look at that, when you look at those things at Tape-Tech, under the Tape-Tech brand of products, we've always had drywall, everything you need for drywall from there. So like you said, we talked about Venetian. Well, a year and a half ago or last year, we launched our Venetian plaster trowels, complete line of Venetian plaster trowels, the most comprehensive line of Venetian plaster trowels in North America, made in Italy. Okay,
Mhm.
so they are highly crafted from the world's largest producer. Okay, and you know who that is. They're made by them. We get them, we brand them out. They're doing phenomenal.
They're
Okay,
beautiful. They're
they're,
beautiful.
they're beautiful. And then we also launched a line of EIFS, EIFS,
Yeah.
which is exterior insulation finishing.
Stucco.
It's essentially stucco. So we have complete line of that. You got to cut the foam. You've got to put the mesh in. You got to roll the mesh into your grooves. You got to do all these different things with it. We have the most comprehensive line of EIFS product under one name brand, Tape-Tech. Okay,
Okay.
North America as well. We have rasp, we have dual disc sanders, all these types of things, hot knives, portable
Right.
hot wires to cut the foam when you're on your job site, all of these things. Well, we just launched this year at Aussie a brand new line of insulation cutting tools for mineral wool, fiberglass insulation, things of that nature.
Cool.
Okay. Because when you look at the what we call rock wool or the mineral wool family, rock wool is stone that's been crushed together, so it has a much longer burn rating. Okay. So it's not about stopping fire, it's about retarding the fire. Okay. So there was no way to cut it. I actually had a conversation with Rockwool 2 years ago at the EMA convention on their material. And we were talking about the hardest, the properties of the material and things like this, and what you couldn't do and could do, whatever. Well, it's hard to cut it. You can't groove it. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can do this, whatever. So we immediately set out to find solutions for that. So within 60 days, we literally had a 3D model of a grooving tool for mineral wool. So you can cut a perfect V, whereas people before were taking an insulation knife and trying to cut one angle and cut the other angle and have it match up perfectly. We now have a sled that has a V groove at the bottom. You run it across the rock wool, and you have a perfect V groove from the aesthetic standpoint to be able to put a reveal on that rock wool. So
Okay.
that whole line, a vibrating wire cutter, we're innovating as we go. It all came from Ventura's head. And
I've
it's
seen
funny
the
because
is it the wire cutter? I've seen something where they're cutting the foam.
that's
Is
our
that
hot wire cutter.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that's
So,
cool.
so yeah, that's in the EIFS category.
Okay.
Okay. And we have that. We have a tabletop, we have a table, and then we have the hot knives with sleds, all of those things. And there's actually a webinar on Aussie you can go watch to see all of these things, both for the EIFS and for the insulation. Now, we just did an insulation one on the Aussie website. Okay. But the insulation one is actually a vibrating wire. It's 13.8 or 14 inches long. It's diamond coated that goes back and forth and goes down into the rock wool and cuts the rock wool that way, because you can't use a hot wire because it doesn't burn. Okay.
Okay.
So you use the vibrating wire, so it's cutting that mineral wool as it's going through. So
Okay.
that's what we're talking about, from being at the forefront of leading and doing things that
Yeah.
a drywall tool company wouldn't have thought about.
Why do you
Go
think
ahead.
Mike's going in these newer directions? Because there's going to be step back. There's going to be failures.
Mm-hmm.
What is the benefit? What is the benefit for you guys to be innovating and moving forward? And so it's also expensive, in some of these realms
Oh,
in the long run. What's the long game here? It's not just for bottom line though, you
well,
know?
one of the first things you just said is that you talk about what's the thought. Well, the thought is this: there's only so much you can do within inside the drywall realm.
Right.
Okay,
That's
and
true.
and there's a little minutiae you can do, but again, if you want to innovate, there's not a whole lot left to innovate on. Okay,
Yeah.
so how do you do something different, which increases your product portfolio? So now that you gain more customers within all of them.
Right.
Okay. And one thing you just said, you said, oh, why would you do it? It's expensive. And I
Yeah.
love when people say that, because you know what I say
And
back?
and you're gonna have failures. Like that's
Yes.
inevitable.
Yes, absolutely. But when somebody says to me, it's expensive, you know what I say? Compared to what?
Right.
And now I've elicited complete responses from that user telling me all the crap that's going on that he doesn't like or that he does like or whatever. But it's compared to what? What you're currently doing? Let's talk about what you're currently doing. I'm cutting it by hand. I get these crazy, crazy V's, whatever. They're itchy, whatever,
Yeah.
but so all these different things, yeah, they may be expensive, but when you look at all of it, I had a guy tell me just this past week, we were at where was that? Oh, in San Diego. We were doing our huge GMS annual, or every 3 years we do a big show for GMS, right?
Yeah.
GMS, bring all their customers in. I had people telling me exactly what I wanted to hear. What's it cost compared to what? Blah, 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 blah. Great. It's this much money. How much is your labor? He said, dude, this will pay for itself in one job for me.
Right.
So you start talking about what I use in the drywall side is, as human beings, we are consistently inconsistent at what we do. Okay. I don't care who you are or how good you think you are. You cannot put the same amount of pressure on a finishing box. When you start at one angle and you finish at a bottom angle, you do not have the same amount of pressure as you go from top to bottom or bottom to top or left to right, because you're going to do something that's going to relieve you that pressure. So that's why you use a finishing box, okay, rather than doing it by hand. You use that box. Now you put out the equal amount of compound. You do it the same way every single time. That's one of the benefits of that. Same with this other stuff. When you put this product on, or when you use these tools, the right tools to fix your product and do it correctly, you get a consistent finish, and it
Yeah.
allows for that cost to be overcome.
I like that. Except for we're marketing and selling in an industry where they're still hand finishing proudly.
Absolutely, absolutely, and the thing about it is you're absolutely correct. And then what happens is when, let's say, head generation or first generation, but nope, we're only using hand tools, only using hand tools, only using hand tools. Well, they see these other things, and I'm okay because my skimming blades are hand tools. You're fine. You want to use a skimming blade? I've at least got you into the first realm of a
Right.
different type of tool. I'm gonna put
Yeah.
a banjo in your hand. I've at least
Yeah.
got you into doing something other than putting joint compound in, folding the paper yourself, pushing it in. I'm at least going to
Right.
do something. So if I can
Yeah.
get you just a little bit off your
Do
off
you
your
have
even,
do you have a belt loop tape holder?
not yet, not yet. But see, here's the thing: when we look at some of those things,
Don't
like
do
you
it.
mentioned,
Don't do it.
yeah,
No.
like I said, if
No,
Mike comes up with something, I was like, holy
my
shit,
guy
what are you
my
doing?
guy Jack uses one, and it's sometimes I'm like, damn, I should, because I'm always juggling, five things.
Yep,
It's like sometimes it'd be nice to like throw on a tape holder, but
yep.
that's definitely for hand finishing for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, the when you mentioned a minute ago, Nick, you talked about tile and masonry and different things like that.
Yeah.
All
Yep.
that stuff is in our AMES side of the business because it goes into the
Okay.
stores. So we want the AMES stores to not be a drywall sundries house. We want
Okay.
it to be a specialty tool and trade supplier.
Okay. I like
Okay.
it.
So you'll go look at all the new stores branding. It says that on the logo. Specialty trades and tools.
Okay.
Okay. So you finish drywall, you finish mason, you do concrete, you do tile work, whatever, and now we have eaves and all those things. So we want to expand our customer base to get them into the store, or expand our GMS yard base to put that product in there. Now,
Yeah.
there's competition in the marketplace, craft, Marshalltown, demand,
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
but that's okay. Because again, competition for me breeds enthusiasm,
Yeah.
passion, all these different things. How do I win? I told a customer the other day
Love
back
it.
in June, I said, you know what? I said, yes, you can do it, because they brought in a competitive product. And I said, guess what? I'm going to win. They're like, what do you mean? I said, I'm going to win at the grassroots level. You may have made a decision at the corporate level, but I'm gonna make it so that you have to make a choice. You have to make a choice to either stay where you are and lose some of that business, or make a choice to add me in.
Can
and
you say the
yep.
tool? Can you say the tool? I like it when I like it when you get fired up a little bit.
you get me that way, yeah. So, well, it was actually a customer that brought in level 5 product.
Oh, okay, all right. It was like a straight up competitor. Okay,
straight up. They've had our products for years.
Okay,
and they brought in level 5 because they liked their marketing. I was like,
sure,
okay, great,
yeah.
You're going to make that type of investment on that product because you like their marketing. Okay, great. But I'm going to go to the grassroots. I'm going to win from the bottom up.
Well, it goes back to that. It goes back to that handle conversation. Like those guys don't have a choice in Albuquerque L&W. They just have a level 5, and I'm like, that's it's affordable, but like, I think that yes, when it comes to products in the drywall space, drywallers will be competitive. They might go to Home Depot because they can get cheaper mud than at the local shop.
Correct.
But because that's a commodity. But I think when somebody goes to buy a tool or a pair of stilts or a good knife, they'll drop the money, or a pair of pants. Yep. I'd spend $100. I've seen the price of those pants. I'm like, I bet they're worth every penny. Yep. Because they're good pants, and I want good. I'd rather wear good pants than Dickies that don't fit and
Yep.
get soft over time. So. That's kind of my take on that. And fair enough. These guys are bringing in this competing product. You get fired up about that. That's good. That's good.
I do.
That's just one. That's just one location.
It's the athletic mind in me. It's like what? Again, competition for me breeds spirit. Competition breeds passion. All of those things, and it gives me an opportunity, and. I'm a huge fan. I don't know if you know who Jocko Willink is, but Jocko Willink is an ex-Navy SEAL. You should go Google his stuff and watch some of his videos. But his big thing is he's a huge motivational guy, and he has one of his short reels is called Good. Okay. And he talks about good, and he is this massive dude that just says good. You didn't get the promotion you wanted. Good. You now have another opportunity to prove yourself.
Sure.
All these things, but he goes through this whole thing. Didn't get the new special tool that you wanted? Good. Find a way to work it with the old stuff to earn the new stuff. So Jocko does all these things. So I'm the same way. You want to put something in front of me? Good. We'll tackle it. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
So Mike's brain said was just like, we want to grab more customers. We want to grab a different customer base. So that we can offer.
And Robbie said good.
Yeah, I said good. It's funny. I didn't say good for that one because.
Wait a second, Mike. Wait a second.
I did. I said to Mike, I said, when we launched our EVES product last year, in the entire line, top to bottom, all accessories, everything, all in, it's about 400 products.
Okay.
In a year. Okay. Yeah. Everything all in, top to bottom. I said to Mike, Mike, I love you, dude. And I do for 13, 14, 30 years now we've known each other.
Yeah.
I said, but just because you're the president now doesn't mean you got to do all the things you've been asking to do for 15 years in one doggone year.
Right. Spread it out.
But he did it. So, and we've now conquered it. We're doing extremely well. With all categories, the EVES, the Venetian, we've even, about the Venetian trials, but we've even got, as a Tape-Tech offering, you can even go take online Venetian plaster classers on the Tape-Tech website now. We partnered with a guy in Europe to do that. So there's a lot of different things that we're trying to do differently that will continue to set us apart. And I've run into so many painters, doing some shows and stuff like that, painters, and I'll say, the JLC live show. I don't know if you know about it, but it's in Providence, Rhode Island every year. So we've done the JLC live show now.
You got to listen. You got to listen to the Myron Ferguson episode.
You got Myron? Okay.
It's a long time ago, but it's really good. It's a good one.
Yeah. Well, I'll do that. And we actually sponsor Myron at the JLC live show now.
There you
So he
go.
uses all of our
Smart.
stuff. So, and our booth is right next to Myron's, and we sell right on the other side of Myron's booth. So,
Okay. I
so
need to go to that show. I need to like jump in on that too
you do.
because he's used Fresco Harmony. He's used all the other plasters. He likes Fresco.
And it's a great event, and we go in there, and but I've talked to so many people who, as AMES and Tape-Tech did, we set ourselves apart. But the painters, for me, who are now becoming some drywall finishers because they're having to fix or want to do more or whatever. But
Diversify, yeah.
yeah, diversify your portfolio, because if everybody looks like this, everybody's the same look. There's no different. Now it only comes down to price. It only comes down to price.
Hmm.
Okay. You do the same work, but if I can go in and I can show them that I can do something else, if I can do Venetian plaster or fresco harmony or whatever it is, and it looks
Hmm.
good on my wall, and I've got a focus wall in a house or whatever it is that I can show,
Yeah.
or even some 2x2 boards, which is what I show all the time. Okay. People go, well, that's got to be hard to do. I said, no, actually, I said a complete idiot in that field did those boards right there. I said,
Right.
I can say that because it was me, you know?
Right.
And so I took a 3-day class down in Jupiter, Florida, and I
Okay.
created some pretty cool boards,
I'm
So
sure.
they're like, wow, it's that hard? No, it's not hard. Here it is. Look, boom, 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 and you're done.
Yeah.
So that's why you want to diversify your portfolio, to set yourself apart. You, Nick, have set yourself apart from the standard podcaster or whatever by doing it in a different way. You've also gotten sponsors, and you're getting users and manufacturers and all these other types of people in, where somebody else may only focus on this type of person I want to talk to. That's
Mm.
not what we want to hear. We want to hear about the whole thing. We want to hear
Yeah.
about how good it is, how hard it is, how much it sucks, or how good it is,
Well,
whatever it
people,
is. So
yeah, people love hearing from the Sunny Drywalls and the
yeah,
Myrons and the people that are doing the work or running a company. Those are great
absolutely.
episodes too. You never
Absolutely.
know. I can do higher ups where it's a more boring episode, and I can do somebody, that you wouldn't think, and it's just like, we have the best conversation. So you never really know.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, and a broad spectrum of, everywhere from a Mike Ventura to somebody that works for a commercial company doing drywall every day. I don't
Right.
care, you
Yeah.
know.
And it works, and from my standpoint, being in this role now for 3 years, almost what, 2.5 years, to see all the different things we get to do, you know.
Yeah,
Like I said, for me, I used to hang it. I'd hang it, but I would never finish it. And
yeah,
now I don't mind finishing, because it's like, what, I can actually make it look good and not have 12
yeah.
coats of compound on the joint.
Yeah.
So,
Crazy.
but
I've been doing the podcast longer than you've been in that position. So yeah,
yeah,
we're over 3 years now, which is crazy to think
it's
of.
awesome. It's awesome. That tells you about the success. I know in your thing with Sunil, you talked about, your target with the podcast and different things as you were going. I heard some of that in there. And the number of followers that you're going, as long as you see that continue to rise, you're making a difference. And that's the thing,
Yeah,
and you get some podcasts that are boring, or you get some that are
sure.
exciting,
Yeah,
that's the beauty of the podcast, and I mean, if you really want to see a good one, do the Heights with the Kelsey brothers, because that's a knucklehead podcast right there. It's
the heights.
the Heights. Yeah, Jason and Travis. That's the Kelsey brothers, NFLers. They do a
Okay.
podcast, and it's hilarious. They dive into so much good stuff. It's funny. They have guests. I mean, but it's a great podcast to
All
listen to
right.
if you want to just laugh and giggle and say these guys are
Yeah.
knuckleheads.
So you listen to a couple of podcasts, and you're kind of a podcaster. Me too.
I, I,
I'm
I
not
you
I'm
know
not a huge podcaster, but
Yeah,
I have
not a
a
lot. I
couple.
listen to
Yeah.
some that interest me,
Yeah.
like football interests me. Again, I've
Of
coached it
course.
forever. I've played it forever. I PA and radio announce it. I've refereed, I've umpired and refereed it.
Oh wow.
So, football, all athletics, baseball and football interest me. Again, my sons played them all through college. I played them through college. So anything that has to do with sports, I try to find. A lot of the books you'll see back over my side, I've got Tony Dungy. I've got
Probably a
T-Bone's book. I've got all
probably a
kinds of
Vince
stuff.
Lombardi fan, yeah.
I've got, well, my college coach played for Coach Lombardi with the Packers.
Nice.
So yeah, Coach Cecil Morris was an offensive lineman for the Packers in the Lombardi days, and
Okay.
he used to tell some stories. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll bet.
but I love Lombardi, love Landry. I love Dungy because he ties it into the faith piece of it, and how it goes. So
Right, right, right.
it's just it's all good, and I mean you'll see around me that I've got a lot of memorabilia,
Yeah.
of different sports guys that I've met and been able to talk to and kind of get their perspective. I got Elway over here, you got Montana over here, Jerome Bettis. Gale Sayers was probably one of my favorite times of all. I played
The rifleman.
yeah, played a round of golf with Gale Sayers,
Nice.
and got to talk to him for 4.5 hours. Almost had his undivided attention for 4.5 hours, and just to figure it out, and to hear some of
Yeah.
those things. So it's good, and things you can take and apply, and
Are
treat.
you a Joe Montana fan?
I like Montana because again I've met Joe as well. I've met Elway and Joe and spent many hours with them at an event in Denver
Okay.
about 8 or 10 years ago when I was with Bosch. And Joe is a really, really good dude. Met Frank Thomas, the big hurt, just a couple months ago down in Clearwater, Florida.
Yeah.
Awesome dude. And these guys, the thing about these guys is if you treat them like they're human beings,
Yeah.
they're human beings. They really
Yeah.
are. You
Yeah.
know, if you try to take advantage of them, you're going to get the wrong side of the human being, but
Yeah.
I mean, when I left after talking to Elway for a couple of days doing an event in Denver with him, I had his personal phone number.
Yeah.
He says,
Yeah.
"Hey, anytime you're in Denver, give me a call. You want to go see such and such? Give me a call." Okay, great, John. Thank you. So but then you also get the smaller guys, the guys who protected Elway. Ralph
Uh-huh.
Tam was an offensive guard for the Broncos, and Ralph Tam and I are good friends because we met through John and some other things that we did. So
Cool.
but just treat them like they're human beings and not like they're somebody other than you, or even ignore them. If you
Right.
see they're busy, don't go bother them.
Yeah, yeah.
But Dwight Gooden and I played against each other all of our lives. You probably don't know who Dwight Gooden is, because
Baseball, right?
yeah, he was a Cy Young winner at 19 years old for the New York
Uh,
Mets. We played against him
yeah.
since we were 5. So I know.
I played T-ball and like majors. I love baseball. Like
Yeah.
I'm not, I won't catch games, but like Ryan and I went to a Mariners game, when we were up
Okay.
in Seattle. I love going to major league games.
Yep.
I do like baseball.
Go see some minor league games though. Those are the most
Well,
fun.
we got the isotopes.
Yeah. Yeah. You got the isotopes there. Yeah. Yeah. They changed the
We've
name from the Dukes, right? It used to be the Dukes,
It
right?
used to be the Dukes, now they're the Topes. Yeah,
Yeah.
so the soccer team plays in Isotope Stadium, which is pretty
Okay.
funny. They have the Simpsons characters around. But
Yeah.
yeah, we watched a bench clearing brawl. I watched the two, like both teams at Isotope Stadium
Oh
once. It
no.
was quite a game. It's like a 4 hour
Yeah.
game, there was a big delay. Pretty
Yeah.
funny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, no, it's fun, and you look at all the different things. I'm leaving tomorrow for Canada. Going to do a couple customer visits in Canada tomorrow.
Eesh.
Over the next 2 or 3 days. I was in San Diego last week. Like I said, this
Right.
is week. This will be week 15 of 17. I'm on the road.
Crazy.
So
How was, and then I just talked, or I texted with Tabitha. We might be in Dallas. I
okay.
should definitely be there with you guys. Um, I'm getting back from England. I got to get my sea legs because I don't have a team or anything. It's just
Yeah,
me. So it's like I'm getting back from Europe, and then it would be like the following
yeah. Are
day
you
or
going to the
two.
GWI event over there? Is that what you're going to do?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah. So that's good. So,
we're excited about that. Tape Tech's going to
yeah.
be there. They're
Yeah.
excited to be carrying your guys' products. Morph Sander, Fresco Harmony, and a gaggle of others, and some influencers will be there. And
Yep.
yeah, that was part of my brainchild. I was like, well, and GWI has been very supportive of Fresco Harmony. I was like, let's do a retail event, like just a
Uh-huh.
retail adventure where I think a lot of it has to do with the people. Like, let's get these people together,
Yeah.
because through social media, you don't get a good grasp on who somebody is. And we've always been separate, but through social media, we can now come together and do drywall adventures or these events. And
Yep.
it'd be cool, I'll talk to Tabitha about, I mean, anyone can do these things. The people at Mudskip are in touch with some different builders and things like that. And I was telling her immediately, I was like, oh, you should do an adventure and invite
Yep.
some influencers,
Yep.
and you can have sponsorships, and drywallers can get together, and everybody can hang out, and we can talk trash, and we can try out tools, and you video the whole thing. I think this is sort of the direction, a really cool direction that not only brings people together, but it's very influential
Yeah.
in like marketing.
Yeah, for sure.
It's smart.
Yeah, I
Um,
actually looked on our looked at doing, and we've got them on the calendar. I won't say where or when, but we're gonna be doing Tape Tech product showcases to where it's
Beautiful.
kind of along the same thing. There's 4 or 5 of them in different locations across the country. Rent a venue, have everything Tape Tech, and just invite the world. Come on in, let's go.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we're gonna do those as well. So
Cool.
but yeah, so it's exciting. It's fun. The Dallas show is going to be really good.
Good.
It falls along the same JLC Live platform. As it goes. With kind of the layout of the show.
This is
So
the
we're
second show that this build company has done. Um, I talked to Drywall Shorty a little bit about it.
uh-huh.
She goes, so it should be pretty good. Is this the
Yeah.
first time Tape Tech will be doing this show?
Yeah, the build lives it is. Yeah, but like I said, we did JLC Live and we hooked up because it's kind of with the same people, but we worked with
Okay.
Tammy at JLC Live and
Okay.
talked about this show. And we said, well, let's go do it, see what it does, see how it does, and
Yeah.
then we'll continue to look at doing more and more of these events as we go. So we have definitely in since I've been in the role now, because I believe in events, I believe in networking and seeing people and stuff. We've
Yeah.
definitely upped our trade show game,
Okay.
to go do more and more of these types of events.
Huge. I think in
Yeah,
this space, it's huge. Like, if you can
yeah,
afford it, like, do the trade shows for sure.
correct. And there are some that are unnecessary evil. You may
Yeah.
not get the ROI you want, but you got to be there because you're inconspicuous by your
Right.
absence. You
Right.
know, but then if you're there, it's like, okay, yeah, they're there. And then they become front of mind. So yeah, that's the way we look
Right.
at different things. So.
If I want to check out some of these cool, new, innovative tools that Tape Tech is making, you're talking about, we talked a little bit about all these new tools that are coming out.
Yep.
What's the best way? Is it through All Wall?
Well, I mean,
Are all these on one website where I could just go and check them out?
yes, you can go, as like I said, we just launched the installation, so it's working its way up. But our
Okay.
Tape Tech website, at
Okay.
tapetech.com, okay, you can go see everything. And so if you go to the top of the page, it says EIFS, it says decorative, it says drywall. So all that's
Okay.
there. You can click a tab and all the products will be there below that. If you have
Okay.
any questions with that, Nick, you can go to the bottom of the page where it says contact us. If you click that, you'll get a page that pops up to put your name and your email in there, and you can leave a comment. You can ask a question, do whatever. We have
Okay.
5 or 6 people who monitor that page every day, including myself, for people who send us requests or whatever they want to
Okay.
know, and we get back to them within 24 hours. So that's a great way to see it. If you want to get
Excellent.
pricing, because obviously we don't sell on the Tape Tech website as of yet,
Right.
but
Right.
if you want to look for pricing, you can go to the allwall.com site. You can go to shopamestools.com
Okay.
and their website. You can find a ton of it on Amazon as well. So
Okay.
there are more and more avenues and venues to find the products that you're looking for now.
Cool. And we're going to have Robbie's personal phone number scrolling along the bottom of the
Yeah,
podcast.
that's it. Yeah, 555-1111.
Yeah, right. Or 2222, as it were.
Yeah,
Um,
there you go.
Robbie Worrell, Tape Tech. What a great interview. Thank you so much for taking the time. One thing I do ask everyone, you've had several excellent pearls of wisdom that you have bestowed on the drywall community. If you could take out one nugget and put something on a billboard, something long-standing that could stick with people from your motivational speaking background, to your coaching, what would that be if you could just instill one nugget onto somebody?
Okay, so one thing that I've used a long time is that, and I got it from some other guys, but at the edge of uncomfortable, you'll find greatness.
Beautiful.
Okay, so always try to go outside your comfort zone to find what you're truly looking for and what you truly want to do and where you want to be.
I love it. You know what? I have another saying that's close to that is don't leave 5 minutes before the miracle.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah.
They say that one.
Stay a little longer. Yeah.
Sometimes,
Because I
leave,
missed it. Oops.
leave that line in the water for a few more minutes, man. That fish will jump on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much. This will air in a few weeks. Robbie, shoot, man. Is there anything that you wanted to say that we didn't touch on? I feel like we really powered it. We powered this
Nick,
one.
I appreciate the opportunity. Tape-Tech appreciates the opportunity. We love what you're doing. We started this conversation last year at the CSR event, like you said. I'll be seeing Brad and those guys tomorrow, as a matter of fact, or
Nice.
Wednesday morning. So,
Nice.
dude, I appreciate the opportunity. I'm glad that you're doing this. You've had an opportunity to talk to Carolina and Mark as well. So you're not just, like we talked about, you're not just getting the heads up, you're getting the down and dirty people. And
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
what's good about what you do. So I appreciate you. I appreciate, like I say, you doing this for Tape-Tech and with Tape-Tech.
Yeah.
And we look forward to future events, future sponsorships, and helping out what you do as well. We'll see you on the road, bro.
For sure. Tell Brad I said hi and that we have to have a phone call soon.
You got it. I'll talk
All
to
right,
him.
sir.
I'll be with him most of the day on Wednesday.
All right. Talk to you
All right,
soon.
buddy. You got it. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate you. See you.
A huge shout out to Robbie for being with us on the Drywall Podcast today. Sir, it was an honor and a privilege, and I look forward to seeing you at the Dallas show and playing in the mud. Also, I want to throw out some Drywall Podcast love for our sponsor for the month of October on the Drywall Podcast, Mud Skip. These guys are awesome. They are super supportive people in the drywall community, and I happen to use their product personally, and I think it's kind of badass. You can catch my episode with owner Sheila Cross, episode 120 on the Drywall Podcast. It's a fantastic episode. Sheila is an amazing person. If you haven't tried Mud Skip out, you can get in touch with me, or you can find them at www.mudskip.com. Tune in next Friday for our Pearl of Wisdom episode. I tried to make it to 150, but we didn't. It's going to be 149 with some seriously awesome pearls being thrusted in your general listening direction. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of the Drywall Podcast. I hope you have a fantastic weekend or week. And remember, keep drywalling.